Uh, let's do a quick review from last week. We talked about, we shared the story of Hannah and her first son, the last judge of the Israelites, Samuel, how Samuel was born, or was given to this difficult times that Israelites was going through. And we learned that God's will is done through us and fulfilled, but in due time. There is a God's timing for each and every one of us, each and every settings of the history that we go through. And especially God works through and amongst those who seek Him, especially who prays, like Hannah. God is still looking for those who seek Him and pray for whatever reason, that whether we're seeking His help or whether we're seeking to complete our desire. Really, we do that all the time, and God does not think of it as badly. Okay, even if we are pursuing our own desire, if we seek it along the way by praying to God, God is pleased to hear it. That's how God used Hannah's desire of wanting to having a son, made it into His will, His instrument and tool to save the Israelites by giving birth to Samuel. Right? All right. But God is certainly looking for someone today who seek Him and pray to Him honestly. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about prayer today. Prayer is basically acknowledging ourselves as being weak. We do pray when we realize that we are weak human beings. If we could handle every matter, handle every problem that occurs in our life, probably wouldn't need to pray to God, right? What's the need? I can handle this upon my power, my hand. I can figure it out all the time. No need for prayer. But when things don't go as we expected or planned, we turn to prayer. But that too very rarely. Even if we don't see the things happening as we expect, we still don't pray. You know why? Because we lack the faith that God can actually help us. We lack the faith that God is even there to help me in such situation. We only seek God when we are at the edge of the cliff. There's nothing else we can do. Then we seek God. That's human being. Similar story is happening in today's passage. There's a widow in the city, and she must be having a lot of hardship in her life. She's mentioning adversary. Someone is exploiting her one way or the other. It's difficult to make living by herself. But she doesn't want to stay idle. She wants to make some moves to correct things in her life. So she decided to seek the judge of the city, a person who has the power to redeem her difficult situation, right? Judge of the city, and bring about justice in her life. But today, the judge that appears is it's a parable, okay? The entire story is a parable of Jesus Christ. But Jesus is saying that this judge is an unrighteous person. Unrighteous. Judges are supposed to be righteous, right? But this particular judge is unrighteous. And this judge neither feared God nor respected man. Not a typical ideal character for a judge. Okay, he could probably not fear God, but as a judge, he has to respect people, right? In order to judge properly. But he doesn't even respect people. In other words, if we describe this judge as like entirely self-oriented, secular, typical person who just care about only himself and probably his power, his wealth, career, nothing just matters but him. That kind of a person, typical secular person. So when this widow, who is in need, certainly in need of something, sought him, knocked on the door, asking for some help to get some justice over her adversaries, this judge obviously refused continuously. I'm a judge. It's his job, right? He has to deal with it, but he's refusing it. Why? Because this matter associated with the widow is non-profitable. It does not benefit him. Helping her out, well, what good is gonna do? Probably I'll get some fame. I'll get some reputation. Oh, this judge is so righteous. He helped the poor lady. I don't need that. So he keeps on refusing it. But the problem is, this widow does not know what kind of person this judge is. She keeps on knocking. Help me out, help me out, help me out. Until when? The judge gets too bothered, too irritated. If I don't address this matter, she's gonna come back again tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. I don't know when, until when. He's so bugging. Literally. It's so bugging. Alright, okay, I'll just handle it matter now. Let's read Luke 18 chapter 18 verse 5. No, next one. Yet, because this widow keeps bothering me, I will give her justice so that she will not beat me down by her continual coming. Until she gets her justice done, she's gonna come back. So this judge is saying, I cannot let her be like this. Okay, I'll just handle the matter. Why? Because I don't want to get bothered anymore. I don't want to get irritated. You know, Jesus Christ speaks of a similar parable in Luke chapter 11, where in the middle of the night, a friend knocks on the door to everyone in the family is asleep, including the children. But a friend knock. Hey guy, wake up! I got a fellowship at my place, and I'm out of food. I don't know how to treat them. Give me some food. Give me some bread. I know you have some. He keeps on knocking. And finally, the man who is inside the house grants his wish, not because of true friendship that he shares with that person who's knocking, just because he doesn't want to wake up everyone in the family. You know, imagine somebody knocking at ringing the doorbell at midnight continuously, whatever the reason might be. If you just let them be like that, he's gonna wake up everyone, right? So Luke 11, chapter 11, verse 7 and 8. Let's read it together. And he will answer from within, do not bother me. The door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot get up and give you anything. Next. I tell you, though he will not get up and give him anything because he is his friend, yet because of his impudence, he will rise and give him whatever he needs. No. He's being impudent, right? Because he got so irritated by his impudence, he's got so bothered and irritated. I don't want to deal with this problem, but he wakes up and give out the food they require. You know, these two parables share a common theme. Somebody who is in need of something, they lack something, and persistently asking for help. Until when? Until they get what they ask for. And for the other side, until it becomes a bothersome situation, nearly an irritation. It's so irritating. I gotta deal with it. You know, that's why this even unrighteous judge and this reluctant friend give in, because they don't want to get bothered anymore. They listen, they grant their wish because they don't want to get bothered. Now, since Jesus Christ is narrating this parable to his disciple to teach about what? Prayer, right? Prayer. That's what Jesus is asking us prayer is all about. Telling us, He wants us to pray until it becomes to a point bothering situation to God. We are bothering God. God, deal with me, otherwise I will not do. We could act that way, probably. But you just keep on knocking until He deals with this matter. Bother. If unrighteous judge grant justice because of bother, how much more will our righteous God, loving God, will listen to our plea and deal with our problems and respond respectively? That's what Jesus is telling us. That's why, sadly, on the other hand, this parable is letting us know that we don't seek God as much as we should. We need to seek Him and really pray to Him. Instead of just coming to church every Sunday and listen to other people pray during the service, we need to pray ourselves with the problems, with the issues that we are going through. We need to bring it to Him personally. And like I mentioned earlier, why do we not pray then? Why is it so difficult for us to pray? It's because ultimately it's a matter of faith. We lack the faith. We know we cannot solve each and every problem that occurs in our life, but yet we still struggle to believe that God can actually take up this matter and handle it for our sake. We lack the faith. That's why Jesus is ending today's tiny little story of parable by this verse, Luke 18, verse 8. I tell you, He will give justice to them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will He find faith on earth? Son of Man refers to Himself, right? Yeah. Jesus Christ. When Jesus comes to this world, will Jesus find faith? A tiny little bit of mustard seed faith on earth. But if we do pray, what is He saying? God will respond how? The word speedily. Speedily. He's ready to act. Maybe not in the matter that we wish to act. But if we ask Him, if we just knock on the door, He will act in the best possible way that God designed for each and every one of us. He's acting, whether we feel it or not. But we don't pray unless and until we are driven into an edge of cliff, like I said earlier, right? That's why sometimes I feel, personally, God drives us to the end of the cliff, to the very edge, so that we would realize there's nothing else we can do from our side, so that we would seek Him finally. We would ask for His guidance and help, His salvation. One account I'll share with you is a testimony myself. The first time I believe that I encountered God very personally was this. Well, God, I'm sure God was there throughout my life, but I personally encountered God through this instant. Like in high school, I think I was 2 years before graduation, so maybe Lucy's age. I was a member of the art club, and one day I stayed back after school hour to finish up the art project I was working on. And if I remember correctly, the last school bus left the school around 5 p.m. So I was intending to catch on, hop on that bus to get back home. But my school and my house was around 40 minutes away by drive. It was pretty far. Like straight, maybe around 30 minutes. I was a bit distant. But I was too engaged with my work. I just didn't check up on the time properly, and I missed the last school bus. Okay. But I wasn't too bothered because we can take the public transportation, right? Yeah. So I left the school premises and I started walking along the main street. And in India, where I grew up, The normal public transportation is this modified version of the bike, three-wheeled
Yeah.
rickshaw. I'm sure you guys must have seen it on TV show and everything. It's pretty cheap. It just runs on meter. And just catch the one which is empty and hop on, let the meter roll. As for the destination, it reaches there within how much time. It's not so fast, but it's quite efficient. I normally take that wherever I want to go. But I was walking along the main street for quite a while, and I couldn't spot a single rickshaw that day. It normally runs a lot of them runs around.
Yeah.
I feel a little strange. What's going on here? Why is there no rickshaws today? I asked the passerby and asked, what's happening? Why aren't there any rickshaws nearby here? And he said, there's a massive strike going on by the rickshaw drivers today. So they're sitting back home and they're not doing any work.
Huh.
I didn't get to hear that news on that day, and I got to know only then when I was trying to get back home. So I started to get a little bit nervous and anxious now. Okay, how am I gonna go back home now? I lost the only way that I can hop on the public transportation, and I just remembered, okay, my parents studied English during those time at the British Council. They offer that service, teaching English to the people who were English is a second language thing. And I remember that during that hours, my parents were learning English from the British Council, and I knew that British Council was under the administration of the British Embassy, which is located nearby. Our school was in the embassy area. It was a good school, so embassy area, and I knew that British Embassy should be somewhere nearby. So I imagined, okay, so they must be there, somewhere close by. My parents should be there somewhere because they must be studying English. So I asked people around where British Embassy was, and it was just 10 minutes walking distance from where I was. So I just went there, and I got to the main gate of the British Embassy and knocked at the reception, just to realize the fact that British Council was located in a different building, 20 minutes away by car. It wasn't actually inside the embassy premise. It was separate building. It was run by the embassy, but it was run separately in a separate building. My heart sank totally, like it was sun was already setting. I was carrying all those big art materials, normally art class people carried. And I was hungry. I walked already like more than 30 minutes, like that. I was tired, and I didn't know what to do. I just walked along the way I was walking back. I just sat down on the grass on the street and rested and wanted to cry. Tears didn't come out. Just struck my mind. I should pray. I knelt there in the middle of nowhere. I knelt there, closed my eyes, prayed for about, not for long, maybe about a minute or so. But within my heart, I just had this sense of assurance that God is going to help me out somehow. I don't know how, but God is there. He's going to help me out. So I got encouraged again. I woke up, started walking slowly with my tired legs. And boom, maybe about 2 blocks I walked, suddenly a white car just drove past me and then stopped right in front of me. And then the window was rolled open. The driver waved me, called me to his side, and asked me if I needed a ride. How strange is it? I wasn't asking for hitchhike, by the way. If I was asking hitchhike, I wouldn't be so surprised. I was just walking on the street. And the driver calls me. If I was heading to the similar direction, he would give me a ride. My heart was beating so fast at that time. Oh my God. I just prayed. I had that little bit of assurance that God is going to intervene somehow. And then this happens. Gladly offered me a ride. We were talking, but I couldn't remember a single thing that we talked on that ride. Why? Because my heart was bursting open, like, with the realization of the fact God truly listens to our prayers, and my God truly lives. I just realized that I was held by God. That was just the beginning, actually. Beginning of my walk along with my God. There are like countless moments like this throughout my life where I saw God intervene personally, or in a church setting, or through others that I know of, my acquaintances, how God intervenes. And God works so miraculously, so graciously. He's amazing God, truly. Awesome it is. Such divine interventions are known as kairos moments, theologically. But think about it. Why did I happen to stay back at school that night? Why did I miss the last school bus that was supposed to leave? Why was there a rickshaw strike, driver strike on that day? I never saw such strike for 13 years of my stay in India. But why on that particular day? What? Why did I mistakenly think that a British Council was under the same building as the British Embassy? You know, all these things, events and thoughts, a lot of them are mistakenly taken, but were aligned so that I'll be in trouble, put into trouble, and eventually become helpless, and eventually would lead me to pray and seek God so that He could intervene. I believe it that way. It was a kairos moment God was preparing for my sake, so that I would get to know Him better. Jesus Christ desires for us all the same thing. He wants us to come to Him, closer to Him, seek Him, ask Him for His help, whether it's big or small. Because at the end of the day, Jesus cannot work unless we put our faith in Him. That proof of faith that Jesus would intervene is our prayer. It's our prayer. God, Jesus is waiting for us to seek Him and pray to Him earnestly. Will Jesus find faith on earth? That question is, on the other hand, it means, will Jesus find people who pray with faith, earnestly? I'm not saying imitation of prayer, okay? I'm not saying murmuring or blabbing or just narrating things again and again. I'm saying about earnest, honest, sincere prayer. Will Jesus find that faith on earth? As Jesus asked for this faith, as small as a mustard seed, let us put our trust, let us put our faith and rely upon everything we do in our life, our Lord Jesus, so that we can allow Him to work in our lives, okay? So that we can also experience Him very intimately, a loving, kind, caring, always protecting our lives. That friend, that God is our Lord Jesus Christ, okay? So let's remember that and let's praise Him in faith. Let's praise Him in faith.